Well, hello there, everybody in Facebook world. I am sitting here in a beautiful place in Virginia, in the mountains. Who would have ever thought? The Lord knows all things and He's good. I was just thinking, I had a conversation with just a sweet, sweet friend yesterday, and it was just really a life-giving, encouraging conversation talking about relationships and bonds and building relationships and barriers to building relationships. And we were just talking about how much of our culture is very productive, which isn't a bad thing. It's good to be productive. It's good to be innovative. It's good to be active and engaged, and all of those things are super good. But part of that productivity means that, unfortunately, a lot of our relationships can be based upon busyness or tasks or responsibilities or getting things done. And in so doing, then when the task is completed, or we leave the job or the church or the event is over, we feel a disconnect from people we felt super connected for. Do you guys ever experience that? Have you ever experienced that before? Where like you're involved in something and you feel super connected, but then when the event ends, it feels like, okay, we now have nothing in common because our bond was based on the event or the busyness or the activity or the team or, whatever it was, the job, whatever it was we were doing, the ministry, any of those things. And it just reminded me of a season in my family's life where we were really, like many people, ridiculously busy. We had 4 kids, a business, taking care of sick parents and a house and all of those things, ministry, like you name it, we were doing it. And we were doing it ridiculously busy, like 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. We were running amok and we were super busy. And we homeschooled the kids and they worked with us at the business we ran. So we ran around, we ran around like a little 6-pack all the time. But when we had some adversity come into our lives and things kind of hit a road, we ended up with a kind of everything in our life shaken off, and any of our busyness and activities and the people and everything in our life was cut away, and we ended up moving halfway across the country. But what we found when we got there was that while we ran around together all the time, we didn't really know each other. We knew what each other liked, we knew what each other did, but we didn't know each other's hearts, and we didn't know each other to the core. And I remember my husband and I looking at each other and going, we kind of don't like each other, and this is a problem, because the only time we really interact is when we have hardship or problems to hash out. We don't spend time together outside of that, just busyness and running around. And while we're with our kids all the time, we don't really know them to the core of their being. We know what they like, we know what they like to do, we know what they're good at. And it was a real eye opener for us. As we all navigate this season of, having had a similar thing happen to all of us globally and as a culture, where everything we've put our time and focus and attention into has been kind of shaken away. I just wanted to pop on here and give you some encouragement as things begin to open up, and we all kind of have been looking at what matters in our lives. I want to encourage you to really press into your relationships. First of all, your relationship with the Lord. It's super easy for that to become based on doing or getting. What can we do for Him? What can we get from Him? What's He want us to do versus who He is, and Him wanting to know who we are. In our homes, in our marriages, with our children, it can become easy to become about what we do instead of knowing who we are. And in our jobs, in our ministries, in our congregations, it can be super easy for our bond to be building something or producing something instead of knowing one another and being known by one another, just as we know the Lord and are known by Him. And so just today, as we're here at Memorial Weekend, and it tends to be a time of leisure and gathering, I want to encourage you to just spend some time kind of figuring out what relationships are like in your life, what you value, and how you're knowing people, and how to press into knowing people at a deeper level and letting yourself be known. One of the things that I found to be great is when I put my rest in the fact that the Lord has my heart, and I don't have to be so guarded with people and protective. I can let myself be known. I feel like we're a lot more resilient and stronger than we give ourselves credit for. And so we protect so there's no harm, instead of trusting that we can be built and strengthened in the midst of hardship. The reality is we're all going to disappoint each other in relationships. It's the only way to have authentic relationships, is to go through good times and challenges, to see each other's weaknesses and strengths, to be known and to be made known. And so I just wanted to encourage you in this time, resist the temptation to just fill your life with busyness. I know that that's something that when I was raising kids, like I said, we had all kinds of things going on. You can't, I know busy, 4 kids, we owned a business, taking care of ailing parents and all these things, we know busy, and it's tempting to busy ourselves. And it can feel productive because that instant gratification of fulfillment can overshadow the long-term dedication of having to really take time to get to know people and take time to be known. And so I just wanted to encourage you in those things today and throughout this weekend. Just really think about what you're knowing about people, what you're knowing about the Lord, and what you're allowing him to know about you, the depths. I know he knows us, but he wants to experientially know us, not just knowledge know us. He wants to do life with us. He's not just bossy. He's not just bossy. He's a really good friend. He's a super good father. He's a fantastic husband. He's a great brother. He's everything we need for life and godliness. It's wrapped up in him, and it's in the knowing him, not just the knowing about him. He wants to be known. He says to us that we can have as much of him as we want. He's not holding back anything from us. He wants us to know every facet of him. He doesn't want us just coming when we have needs or when we have desires or wishes and then putting him back in the closet. That's not his heart. His desire is to walk this life with us, to be at one with us. It's amazing to me. Some scriptures blow my mind. Things like that we are co-heirs with Christ. What? Like that's about equal stewardship and responsibility, and it's about doing something together, being a bride of Christ. Think about that, to be a bride. My relationship with my husband is very different than our relationship with our son. When we're co-heirs in something, Jason and I, we're co-heirs of everything we have, which means we steward it, we have responsibility for it, we're tending to it, all of those things. And so when you're a co-heir with Christ, it means there's just a depth of intimacy to be experienced, a depth of relationship to be encountered. It's so much more than just obeying or seeking. And then that overflows once we enter into that relationship bravely, and there's a growing in that. I remember as a newer believer, a time where there was some challenges in my home, and I really felt an unction and a desire to go do something and spend some time away with the Lord, but I was challenged with leaving my home. Felt like I was kind of like, what if everything doesn't go well when I'm gone? And I just remember talking to the Lord about that, and I felt this peace in my heart that just was him whispering to me and saying, it's okay, I'll prove myself trustworthy. As you have opportunities to seek me, to walk with me, to enjoy my presence, you'll see that I'm trustworthy. And he has done so beautifully. And then as I've known him and learn more about him, because friends, we're made in his image, the more we know him, the more we know ourselves. I don't know about you, but when I first came to know the Lord, and even since then, walking with the Lord, there have been many times I feel like I don't know who I am anymore. But it comes back to that core plumb line of knowing him. And you'll know you because you were made in his image. So the more you know him, the more you see yourself and know yourself in a pure way. And then you can rightly love others in a way that isn't trying to find out who you are through them, but being able to just reveal the truth of who you are and see them for who they are. It's just such a circular thing when we come into that relationship with him. So you guys have a fantastic weekend. Thank you for watching and just hearing my heart about these things. And again, I just want to encourage you to resist that restless temptation to busy yourself without purpose. I get it that there's times that we just have to dig in and persevere and be busy, and I fully get that, but I'm talking about an overall heart that puts our relationships at a level that's all about something we're doing instead of knowing each other at the core of our being. Love you guys. Have a great weekend. Happy Memorial Day weekend. Bye-bye.